Hi everyone!
Welcome to In Our Defence, the podcast designed to give you all the advice you need whilst going through the trials and tribulations of life to and at the bar. Now, we wouldn't be a legal podcast if we didn't give you a legal disclaimer.
Whilst every effort has been made to ensure the content of this podcast is accurate, none of it is to be taken as professional advice in any capacity. We might talk a lot about a lot of things in a lot of detail, but in our defence, we are still learning too. Hi guys!
Hi everyone!
Welcome to the third episode of the In Our Defence podcast. This week we're going to be talking about everything law degrees. So me and Lou have obviously both been to uni and we have both got a law degree. And I moved away, so I lived in halls and I lived in private housing at uni, and Lou lived at home and commuted in. So we have two perspectives that we can bring to today's episode. I will just say we are having a lot of technical difficulties today. We have tried to film this once already and I don't know what was going on, but the whole thing sounded like I was underwater in slow motion. So it's really not good. We're getting delirious. We're getting to the end of our tether.
We are two girls on the edge right now.
We're two girls on the edge. So bear with us today, guys. We're going to bring you a slightly shorter episode today, but we hope you still enjoy it nonetheless.
Before we get on to the main part of the pod, guys, I just wanted to say that we have received a couple of messages on Instagram, via email, querying when we are going to be talking about bar-specific content. That is coming. I suspect it's probably going to be in the new year now. I know when we started this out, we kind of said that this was going to be a bar course specific. I'm cautious to use that. We don't want to necessarily cut ourselves off and make ourselves too niche. We want to be sort of all encompassing, but we did say that this is going to be kind of catered for bar students, which it's going to be. Please bear with us. In the new year, our plan is fully to kind of get all things talking about revision, exam techniques, you know, like how to cope, advocacy assessments and all that sort of stuff. We haven't forgotten. It's on the horizon. We're not ignoring you. We just thought it'd be best to sort of provide some context before we kind of go into that sort of stuff. So sort of our journeys to the bar and then we kind of went from there. Next episode is going to be about the inns, isn't it, India? I think.
No, I've just checked. I've just checked our topic board, and next week is going to be about building your CV. So we're going to talk about mini pupillage, judicial marshalling, volunteering placements you can get. So we're going to be talking all about that next week. But the week after, we're going to be discussing the lead up to the bar course. So how to apply for the inns, which bar course provider to apply for, and everything like that. So if that is something that you are interested in, and if that's something that you're wanting to see from us, definitely watch. So not next week's, but the week after for that.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you're right. That will be in the new year.
I think our plan is to perhaps still aim to get something out on the Saturday, which would be New Year's.
One thing I would just like to add as well, guys, we are in totally different backgrounds today. I have gone for the more intellectually stimulating background over here. I literally look like I'm in Lincoln's Inn Library. It's giving librarian.
It's giving windswept and intellectual. I'm not in my office because obviously I'm sure you'll all appreciate in the build up to Christmas, you try and get everything done. I think I've washed everything that has stayed still long enough. So my spare room stroke office has become a bit of a dry cleaners / laundrette. I thought what better place than to move it from my spare room into my wardrobe stroke dressing room, which is also full of clothes. So really in hindsight it was a rookie mistake, but here we are. We always promised that we'd be honest with you guys. We always said we'd keep it real, and here we are.
We're
keeping it
real, guys.
From my wardrobe.
So guys, I thought we would move into our best of the week this week. We do have two for you. We have one each. I have slightly cheated this week, guys. My best of the week is not coming from the Inner Temple Daily Digest. However, it's something that I have heard being talked about on Legal Cheek and things like that. So I thought it'd be interesting to discuss, especially because we are talking about going to university. The heading for this week, and I will put it on the screen. I got this wrong last week. I'm pretty sure it's this side. The headline for this week is coming from Sky News, and it is drink spiking laws to be modernised, Home Office says. And essentially, the Home Office are aiming to amend the Criminal Justice Bill and the Offences Against the Person Act, which was originally initiated in 1861. The Home Office are aiming to amend those laws to include a wider remit for drink spiking legislation. Something that was really prominent throughout my degree and my time at uni was spiking, unfortunately. I obviously went to Nottingham, so did Lou. I lived in halls and I was obviously going out a lot, going out clubbing, and it got really, really bad in probably my third year of uni, and there was a real epidemic of spiking in nightclubs. It progressed from drugs going into a drink to spiking with needles, which is obviously absolutely disgusting. So that was something that was really prominent in my time at uni. So I thought it'd be interesting to touch on. It's interesting to me that spiking with a needle is obviously either an assault or a battery, I think, wouldn't it be, Lou? Spiking with a needle is obviously causing somebody bodily harm or some form of bodily, I don't know whether it would be a wound to constitute wounding. I don't think it would be, but
as well as it being some sort of perhaps a Section 47 ABH, I don't know whether or not it would also be Section 23 or Section 24, the Offences Against Person Act, and administering a noxious substance. Again, guys, in our defence, we're learning. Remember, we said this at the start.
I think that's actually really interesting because administering a noxious substance, you would assume, encompass putting a drug or something into a person's drink, which to me would be much harder to prosecute than spiking somebody with a needle, because normally when you spike somebody with a needle, there's some form of entrance wound, isn't there? Sort of puncture wound in the skin, whereas dropping a substance into somebody's drink, it would be more difficult to establish the causation between who actually did it. Sorry, we're on a bit of a delay, guys, hence why we're struggling today. Yeah, I think that's super interesting that administering a noxious substance, you would think that would encompass dropping some sort of substance into a drink. However, I think the aim of the new legislation is to make the definitions, the legal definitions, more unequivocal, because as with a lot of the legislation, the definitions can be really archaic, really vague, and it can be difficult to fit an offence into those categories. It would be amazing progression if the Home Office actually do follow through with it and do amend this legislation. I think it would be brilliant if people who have been affected by drink spiking in any way can get some form of justice or feel somewhat vindicated for what happened to them. Yeah, I thought that would be an interesting topic to touch on, especially if you guys are going to uni. It's obviously a very scary world out there sometimes. There are scary people out there, and going to uni, it can be quite daunting, especially when you're faced with the possibility that when you're partying or going clubbing, that something bad could happen to you. Even bringing some peace to prospective university students is something that's really good as well. People will know that there is something that can be done now to prosecute these people. Can't even fathom ever spiking somebody or drugging anybody. It's just completely out of our remit of morality. So that's the end of my segment this week, guys. Yeah, if you have any thoughts, do let us know.
Let us know your thoughts on anything we discuss on sort of like Best of the Week segment. Quite often, and I'm sure India won't mind me saying this, quite often it's something we've kind of read at first blush and perhaps haven't necessarily looked into in any greater detail. We're just kind of giving you our initial thoughts. So if any of you have any thoughts or opinions or any, just express your views on the matter, like we would welcome any of that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So thank you, India, for your insightful Best of the Week, as always. I have actually pulled my finger out this week and done my own as well, because last week I had to piggyback on India's because work was so crazy for me, and so once again she came to my aid. But this week I have been able to sort of do my own, and something that came on the Inner Temple Digest, I think it was yesterday. And I am going to read from my laptop, sort of half read from my laptop anyway, just to make sure I get this right. But
again, we will put it on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. We will link it, whichever side it is. The article I saw that stood out for me was headlined, "Anti-Bullying Training Should Be Compulsory for Barristers." And that was an article that had been written by Stephanie Hayward of Decker Chambers, and it's on Legal Futures. As I said, we will put the article link in the show notes, or India will do some sort of magical thing here when she edits it. No pressure, India. Just don't mess it up, okay? So it was a Stephanie Hayward from Decker was saying that training to prevent bullying and harassment at the bar should be made compulsory for barristers. So Stephanie Hayward is a criminal law barrister, and she said that change was driven by leadership and was most powerful when senior members of the bar, particularly men, spoke out about these issues. Behind the Gown is a movement that pushes for equality at the bar, whether it's shaping policy, speaking truth to power, the change that we want to see at the bar. And Stephanie Hayward has basically said that one of the biggest things she noticed in her experience is something called bystander training. And essentially, it's not necessarily those who are overtly bullying someone. It's those who stand by and let it happen. It's whether or not training should be given to those who perhaps don't necessarily realise that doing nothing, or almost like, I suppose it's bullying by omission, by not saying anything. So this post that's been published on Legal Futures is really interesting to read. I mean, she's spoken on Dr. Charlotte Proudman's Right to Equality podcast about it, and she's explained that her involvement in the Behind the Gown movement was as a result of her experiencing bystander bullying. So it's whether or not bullying or training against anti-bullying should be given to all barristers, and whether or not bystander training should be given to barristers as well. My point of view is yes, it should be given. I think sometimes saying nothing is just as bad. Essentially, Stephanie Hayward is saying that she thinks that anti-bullying training should be mandatory for barristers, and I agree. Actually, I think it should be.
I think what's really interesting is I have definitely noticed recently a real emphasis on ethics at the bar. I mean, I know when me and Lou were doing our ethics exam for the bar course, it was really, really important that we knew the fundamentals of barrister ethics. We were told it's really, really becoming much more important. I think as ethics becomes much more integrated into practice at the bar, which it should be, I hope that in turn will lead to much less cases of bullying amongst those at the bar and the wider legal profession. I would hope that would sort of be a knock-on effect.
I mean, do go and if you do get a spare moment, guys, we'll link the Behind the Gown page.
I will hyperlink all of that in the bio, guys, for you. If you are interested in looking at any of those articles or the podcast that we mentioned, check it out in the bio below.
Yeah.
I think as well what's really interesting is that the bar traditionally is quite an archaic profession. Back in the day, it was primarily men that became barristers. It was very rare that a woman became a barrister. There was very, very little diversity in terms of ethnicities and race, in terms of disabilities. I think as the bar becomes more diversified and accepting of people from all races, all ethnicities, all genders, hopefully there will be less prejudice towards people. And I don't know if the bullying mentioned was against a specific social group or whether it was just in general, but hopefully as society progresses, bullying at the bar will also lessen as well. I would hope, but
fingers crossed.
So we're just going to quickly discuss with you guys everything we know about the law degree. We are obviously going to be quite brief today because it is really late.
We've had so many technical difficulties this morning. Tell you the truth, guys, we
This
recorded
morning?
this morning. Oh God, we've recorded this once already, and the whole thing didn't record. So we're going for round 2. So here we are.
We knew the second episode, guys, the first one that we did remotely, we knew that went way too smoothly and it was too good to be true. So
It's
here
too
we are.
good to be true.
So firstly, as I said at the start, I moved away from home. I stayed in halls my first year and I absolutely loved it. I really loved moving away. I obviously found it really difficult being away from my family. I was obviously really homesick, but I think what really helped was I had a really good solid group of friends that I made, and I just completely pushed through the homesickness. Everybody's going to feel homesick. That first week, you're going to feel awful. Push through it. You'll get used to your new life. You'll get used to your newfound independence and you will be fine, genuinely. Lou, how did you feel going to uni and living at home and sort of commuting in?
As I've said before, I joined uni, or I started uni when I was 22. So I was a bit older, so I was already living here. I'd moved out of my mum's house and I was living away from home anyway. And I worked in Nottingham, so I was commuting every day anyway. So the transition between pre-uni and actually going to uni wasn't that difficult, I would say.
Yeah.
It was difficult in terms of I had to get back into the swing of studying, I had to get back into the swing of revising, I had to kind of get back into the education system. But in terms of, I think, some of the stuff you're discussing about homesickness, it's not something I really experienced, given that I'd already moved out. Uni was kind of just a natural progression for me rather than such a huge step.
Yeah, so I think it's just completely what works for you. I had a couple of friends that went to uni in Norwich and commuted in, and they loved it. It worked really well for them. They were also, like you, Lou, they were also working alongside it. Moving to uni is a really big step. You may be moving hours away from home. It is a really big thing, and I think because it is the traditional route to take, people don't actually talk about how hard it is really to move away and gain that independence.
Really hard. My brother is 18, and shout out to my brother Stephen, by the way, who's probably not going to listen, but here we are. He started uni in September and he's taken to it like a duck to water. But I mean, I've struggled because I miss him, you know, and you know, I haven't lived with him for the past 5 years. It's a real thing, and homesickness it is difficult and it's hard to navigate. I think the one thing I appreciate, it's awkward perhaps coming from me, given that I didn't go to uni. Certainly didn't go to uni when society would have had me go to uni, but I didn't go to a uni that was far away. I don't have the right to talk about homesickness at uni because I've never had it myself. I think it's a real thing, and I think my advice in relation to that, guys, would be you're all, or at least most of you, are in the same position.
Yeah. Like I said in the first episode when we were talking about the bar course, just put yourself out there. I know it's so much easier said than done, and it can be really frustrating if you're not that type of person. But again, like I said in the first episode, what have you got to lose? You know, you may as well go and give it a good go, and if it doesn't work out for you, it doesn't work out, but at least you know that you've given it 100%, and that's all that matters. Do you have any advice, Lou, for people who are taking a law degree? What would you say that really helped you?
So law degree, so undergrad, I won't lie.
Do you want me to start?
It's hard. No, please.
I'm just thinking because I've got something on the tip of my tongue and it might inspire.
Go on, you go for it, my girl. You go for it, my girl.
One thing I would really say that it was obviously told to me, and I don't think I took it seriously enough at the time. I think I thought, oh yeah, whatever. You sort of have a chip on your shoulder, you think you know better. 100% get friendly with the lecturers and the seminar tutors. Make sure you're constantly asking them for advice. If you get a piece of work back, and even if you're happy with the mark, email them, ask for a meeting, go get some feedback. Be really involved with the lecturers and the seminar tutors. I am a prime example, guys. In my land law module, I did like land law, don't get me wrong, but I got really friendly with the lecturer and the seminar tutor. I was constantly asking them for advice, and I came out in the end with a mid first. Now, it was the only thing I got off a mid first in, and I genuinely attribute that to me taking an interest in the feedback that he was giving and, you know, really showing that I was interested in wanting to progress. I would definitely say just go and email them and say, please give me some feedback, and they will love it.
Again, being slightly older, I was that really annoying student who, at the end of every lecture and at the end of every seminar, when they would say, so has anyone got any questions? I was always the one like, yeah.
I can just imagine.
I do actually. And everyone else would be like, oh, for goodness sake, like, we just want to go. I remember when I first started, again, there were other people who were a lot younger than me, and they said, oh, no, I'm too scared to ask. There was almost like this shame of being embarrassed to ask if you don't understand something.
I can just imagine as well the people that had just pulled themselves out of bed to go to the lectures, and they were probably hungover, and they thought, right, I better go today. And then Lou was the one at the end going, keeping them in for an extra 10 minutes with her questions.
And again, but that kind of goes back to, you guys, what we were saying last week or the week before, that I didn't go to uni when I was 18 because I knew if I had, I would have been wasting my own money. One thing I was told that I think a lot of people forget, and I sometimes took it for granted, is unlike school, unlike college, you are paying for your degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be that by a student loan or you're paying outright, you are paying the uni. You are literally throwing away your own money. And
also, it is a lot of money, guys. A lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
For 3 years, tuition fees for a standard degree is £27,000 currently in 2023.
Because I did it before, was £36,000.
Oh my goodness gracious me!
I'll be paying that off until I'm about 100 if I live that long.
£36,000. You know what you could buy with £36,000?
I went when I was older, and I had a greater appreciation for the course, the content, the syllabus, the tutors, the lecturers, everything. The fact that I'd made this huge financial investment. And it is an investment. Yeah. You are investing in yourself.
Can I just say, guys, I've heard so many people say, oh, I'm not going to uni because I don't want to be in debt, or oh, I'm not going to uni because the student debt. Personally, I think that should absolutely not be a reason that you don't go to uni. I understand not being able to afford it, i.e. affording your rent or affording to live away from home. Obviously, you have to pay your loan back, but please don't let that deter you from doing a uni course. I've had a lot of people say, you know, they don't even notice it. They literally don't even notice it. I understand, obviously, uni is really expensive, and like Lou says, it is an investment, but it is an investment into your future as well. So
yeah,
keep that in mind.
And that kind of goes back to, so if I had to give anyone advice for doing a law degree, it would be prepare yourself for the intense. It's a lot of reading. Turn up to your seminars.
Yes.
Turn up to your lectures.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to hear that, because everyone wants to say, oh, yeah, no, you'll be fine, you can win. Just do it.
There's also a statistic that, I mean, I'm showing my nerd brain right now with statistics, but there is also a statistic that shows that attendance directly correlates with your success. It seems like pretty common sense, doesn't it? If you go to something and you learn in person, you're probably going to get better grades. But
the other thing I'll say is, I was always told, oh, first year doesn't count. First year doesn't count.
Me too.
It doesn't matter. First year doesn't matter. It's fine. I can't speak for other degrees. I can't speak for other courses. But I know that because a lot of students take the view first year doesn't count, that when it comes to applying for places, a lot of people will ask you for your first year results, purely because they kind of think, oh, well, hang on, let's look at your attitude here. Did you take it seriously?
Although first year in its weighting maybe 0%,
yes.
I know our degree
that is true.
It doesn't matter, because you're still learning. In our case, you're learning the fundamentals of the law, which you apply throughout the whole 2 other years. Even though it doesn't count on paper, like Lou says, people will probably ask for your grades, and it will probably help you in the long run to learn those fundamentals.
And also, the modules in your first year are the core modules. So they're important stuff. It's important stuff, but it's your bread and butter.
Also, to have a qualifying law degree, I'm pretty sure there's 6 core modules that you need to take to have a qualifying law degree.
I thought it was 8.
Oh, is it 8? Oh, it could well be. I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah.
Obviously, you do quite a few of those in your first year, so it's really important. I know it sounds rubbish and we sound like we're nagging you. We're looking at it from retrospect and in hindsight, what would we have done differently? So
actually, I was very attentive. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so was I, to be fair. Also, guys, one last point. Don't talk in the lectures. Take it from me, I'm the biggest chatterbox around. I would talk to a brick wall, genuinely. So take it from me, I had a really embarrassing time once where I was sat with some friends in the lecture. Actually, in my defence, it wasn't me talking.
State your case, girl. State your case.
Guys, this is in my defence. I was sat in the middle and they were talking over me. And there was nobody sat in front of me. So the lecturer looked directly at me and he said, "Is there something you would like to add?" And I went, "No." In fact, I actually think I sat there in silence, super embarrassed. So do not talk in lectures.
No.
Learn from me, guys. It's super embarrassing.
The other thing I'll say as well, and it's my final point on this, and I know this pod's been somewhat brief, again, owing to the time of year, and the fact we've had so many issues with technology this evening. When it comes to choosing your electives and options that you want to choose, so after you've done your 6 or 8, not entirely sure, core modules, you will be able to, if you've done a straight law degree, you'll be able to choose a number of electives. So these can be modules and areas of law that you want to explore that aren't considered core or aren't considered material. Please choose something that actually interests you.
Yeah.
Please choose something that interests you. There's a temptation, and I mentioned this last week, to go for all the commercial, or let's go for business and commercial. If that's what you want to do and you're genuinely interested in doing it, then absolutely go for it. If you're not that way inclined, that is okay. That is completely fine. I didn't pick one commercial, one business. I didn't even do employment because I wasn't interested in it.
What electives did you pick, Lou?
So I did.
So with yours, did you pick more electives? Because we only picked one in the 3rd year.
So I picked human rights, law of armed conflict, international criminal justice, family law, medical law, sexuality in the law, criminology.
I'm forgetting because I did law with criminology. I obviously picked my electives for criminology as well, so I only got one law elective in my 3rd year because obviously I did the dual degree, so that's why I'm getting confused here. Yeah. I picked family law also, and I think actually that's a really good thing to add at the end of the podcast. Me and Lou are both super interested in both criminal law and family law. We're both going to be looking for pupillage in both sectors or one or the other because they're both super interesting to us and we love both of those topics. Those will be the parallels running through these podcasts as well. So it's not just going to be about crime. We will also be discussing some family law every now and then.
So despite the fact we've had so many technical hiccups today, guys, I think we've managed to blabber on for long enough. We will leave it there. Again, as always, keep messaging us if there's anything that you want to raise with us, anything you want to say that you like or dislike, we can take it. Big girls, we can take it. And I think all that remains to be said is have a very, very Merry Christmas, guys.
Definitely. Hope you all have a lovely time celebrating. If you don't, you might not celebrate Christmas. If you don't, I hope you still have a lovely 25th of December, whatever you're doing.
Enjoy the festive period, whatever you might be doing. And as the Christmas break comes up, obviously those who are doing the bar at the moment, have a break, take your foot off the gas, relax, enjoy.
Don't take your foot off the gas at the same time. Why don't you do a little clutch control so you keep going, but you've still got your foot on the gas. You need to be revising, but you also need to give yourself a break to be productive.
It's really important. I know we say about, you've got to use this break to revise, and I know we said that last time, and you should. You absolutely should, because now is a time to consolidate, now is a time to revise, now is a time to go over your notes, but also make sure you enjoy that time. You'll get burnout otherwise, and that's no good for anyone.
I'm super excited for next week's episode because me and Lou will be talking all about our legal CVs, so the things we've done throughout our quest to be barristers. So this includes our mini pupilages, our judicial marshalling, Lou's job. You'll be hearing all about that. I have been doing a criminal placement with on death row cases, so that should be interesting to discuss. If you guys would like to hear all about that, make sure you tune into next week's episode because I'm super excited about that one. And then we will be discussing the bar specific episodes after the new year.
And if there's anything we can do to help you in the lead up to the exams, the litigation exams, the advocacy assessments, ethics, get in contact. And if there's anything we can do to help you, we will.
In our defence, we are not experts. we're not
in our
barristers
defence,
yet.
We are learning, but we will do anything we can to help.
Yeah,
because we've been there, and it's a slog.
Keep going, power through. The end is near. You're on the home straight after New Year. You're on the home straight, so keep going, and you'll smash it.
Merry Christmas. Next episode will be out after Christmas. Yeah, so enjoy. Yeah. Have a lovely festive season, or gifting season, festive period, and we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.